Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo editing live stream where you can submit your images before the stream starts and I edit them here for you live using DxO's Photolab. Uh, I'm on 9.7.0 build 631, I think, or 34. Anyway, it just updated a few days ago, so I have the latest version. And anyway, what I meant to say was this is not a critique or I'm not judging photos in any way. I just wanted to sort of show you my workflow when I'm editing and the tools that I use in DxO. And also, I'm an affiliate for DxO, so if you'd like to give it a try or like to purchase it, I have my affiliate links down below and a 15% discount code. So that goes to help support the channel and the work that I do here in the stream. And of course, if you'd like to support otherwise, you can buy me a coffee, make a donation, or become a member for 99 cents. So all that is greatly appreciated. And all right, so let's get started. And I need to move my windows around a bit. And get to the right folder. We're almost there. Okay, let's see if this works. Perfect. And I see Henning's here, Larry's here, Cynthia, good to see you guys, Jeff, Dan, Tom. And also, you know, every 2 or 3 images I pause and try to answer any questions in the chat section. So if you have any questions, you know, about anything I did or any of the tools that I use, I'll do my best to answer them there as well. So, and thank you for the sound check. The audio video is good. I know that's been kind of a, it's been kind of spotty lately, but I should be good to go today. All right. So first one here is from, oops, let's, I didn't catch the name, but I always appreciate you guys sending your images in and trusting me to edit them. And also, I'll try and think out loud my thought process and my workflow. And also, you know, if I see anything in particular that, you know, in the settings or, you know, in the overall composition, I'll try and give you some of my thoughts on it and why I'm doing things or changing things the way I might. So in my workflow, typically I look at basically the sort of the global changes I want to make first, like geometry, you know, fixing keystoning errors, straightening the horizon, cropping. And then I also look at exposure, you know, if the image is too dark or too bright, you know, to my preference, right? This is all very subjective. There's no right or wrong. And make adjustments there. And then maybe the white balance I might consider, you know, up front. So these are the core things I look at in the image, things that typically you would consider out in the field when you take the image initially. But, you know, a lot of times you take a picture with the intent to post-process and crop or straighten, things like that. So anywho, so this image here has a pretty good range. You know, we have some very good highlights here and then really deep shadows all the way around. And have a person here stepping up onto a curb. We have a line here. And when I'm looking at my overall composition, I like to think about the corners, right? I'm very conscious of what's in the corners, what's in the background that can add to the story or add points of interest or accents to the composition. And I don't think I really sense any geometry problems here. The lines look pretty straight. And then I also like to consider the overall balance of the lighting and subjects or objects in the image itself. You know, I don't want it to feel too heavy on one side, whether it's the exposure is too bright or if there's a giant rock like on the left side, but then nothing on the right. So I try to balance things. And again, these are my subjective preferences. So I think initially just a crop and maybe this person's a little bit on the left side, but then if I crop it, I can I'm trying to keep this line down here to frame the image. Let's just try that. Put them front and center. And also I look at, I don't overthink the composition with respect to, rule of thirds or, leading lines, all these different sort of composition rules. I simply try to add depth to the image. And, if there's, because we have a two-dimensional image and I want to try to give it more of a three-dimensional feel. And again, that's, another subjective choice there. But I think, I think this line here works, but there's just a little bit of a, maybe just a little bit tighter. So I might come in a little bit this way. Like so. Okay, from here, I'm just going to brighten the image up just to kind of see what else is in the frame. And a little bit, that focus point is way up here. And this edge here, there's some spacing and little flickers of light, speculars there. Maybe come in a little bit more off the left side. I don't like these two speculars or three speculars in the corners. So something more like that. All right, and then the other question is, if I underexpose it a little bit more, I can, because there's a lot of noise in the image when I push the shadows and it's out of focus. So I'm going to just pull back the exposure to about there. And then I think I'll just work with the light that's down here. And these are fine up here. I'm not sure if I need this in color either. I mean, it's kind of monochromatic anyway, but it's red. I can just shift it to this. But the red is interesting. I think I'll leave it in red because you don't see that very often. Really strong red lighting. So I'm going to go back. I'm still working on global adjustments. This time the exposure. I'm going to just pull the blacks in. So I don't know if we really need to see the raincoat. I'd like to get a little silhouette on the person, but not much. I think it's more interesting right in here. Like that. Okay. So, all right, let me go back so I can see what I'm working on, but I want to add a little bit of a highlight. Let's try control point right here. And I'm going to just use the selective tones. me zoom in. Okay, that's good. So I'll back that off a bit. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot. I forgot to apply my basic presets. So I'm just going to do it manually real quick, but it's always noise reduction, sharpening, chromatic aberrations, and then geometry here, or lens optical corrections with the lens. All right, let me go back now. So I'm getting a little bit of highlight information right in here. I think that works. So let's go ahead and push that up. A little bit here. Okay. Just a little bit on the back of the coat. And then let's go back to my global adjustments. I was about negative 1.4. Okay. And I'll just back this off. I'll just use the opacity. All right, that's good. Just a little bit of glow. Just a little bit of glow over here on the left side. Okay, and then I'll back this off just using the opacity. Okay, let's make a new mask. I'm going to work on these highlights a little bit. And I'm going to tighten up the, let's just tighten up the chroma a bit and the luma. Right there. And maybe down here. And I'm just going to brighten those up a bit. And whenever I'm working with selective tones, I like to keep this a straight line. That tends to look the most natural. Okay, good. All right, I think we're almost there. Maybe a little bit more light here. Let me go back to this mask. Just add a dab there. And pull the opacity back. All right. So a little bit here on the right side. See if I can bring a little bit out in here. Okay. Maybe not that one. And let me just check the black and white again. I think I'll leave it red. It's just a little odd that we have the strong red lighting and then the lighting around here is a little bit warmer. What if I cool this off a bit? I think that works. Yeah, something like that. I think that kind of works. Let me just check the color here on this line. Add a little bit of contrast. This got a little bit too much red in it. So let's see if we can bring that out a little bit. Okay, I think I'll leave it there. I'm not convinced though. It's the sidewalk. Let me go back to this mask. Back this off a bit more. Now I'm just kind of tweaking it a bit. Back that off a little bit. All right, I think I'll call it there. So I just try to make it a little bit more contrasty and then a slight crop, right? Just to kind of catch the corner here. And other than that, other than maybe converting it to black and white, might be the only other option. But yeah, I wanted to crop out these speculars here on the left side, left corner. Try to maintain the glow here, but then, you know, get rid of some of the lighting back here just to give it more contrast. I feel like there's one more thing I might be able to do. Just give it a little bit more contrast. Like that. Okay, now I'm done. But there you have it. And, you know, I'm pretty sure the noise has been cleaned up pretty well. you know, if I zoom in, it did soften a lot of the fine details because there was just, it's out of focus and there's a lot of noise, but it did a pretty good job overall. Okay, yeah, that's a tough image. All right, let's go to the next one. So that was from, oh, William. All right, thanks, William, for sending that. All right, so when I select an image for edit, you know, I look for these little green down arrows. This one doesn't have one, so I don't need that, but that's DxO telling you it wants to add the, or apply an optics module. I already have the optics module loaded for this particular camera lens combination, so I'm going to go ahead and apply basic preset, which applies those optical corrections and noise reduction and a little bit of sharpening. And I've given this preset that I use away on my community page, so you can find it there. But all right, so we have a power plant here. Maybe inside of a dam. This looks like a hydroelectric type power plant. Just guessing. I don't know anything about power plants. Okay, so we have good exposure. We have straight lines, so everything's looking good. Let me just apply a little bit of perspective. I don't think we even need this. I think we're good there. So we have this line here, lines here. I don't think, this is just, I'm not sure I need both walls. I like this wall on the left. Let me just see. The question is, do I need the flag in the image? Try 5x4. Now this garage entrance, typically when I do architecture, like this is basically a big giant room, right? I typically like to look at two walls. Doing a three-wall architecture works better if you can get kind of straight on, and this is straight on and centered, but then you have these generators on the left. So I think I will stay onto the left side. And just concentrate down here. So then I just have these two walls. And again, it's just a very subjective preference. And I think this has a little better balance. Okay, so there's a lot of shiny things in here, right? So Clearview is really good at bringing out the shiny stuff. So I'm just going to do that first. Let's do that. And then I'm going to do a little more micro contrast just to bring out some of the details in the cement. And then we'll push the highlights a little bit. And it looks like there's fluorescent lighting or something because I'm getting this green cast. So maybe, I doubt I can find a white point in here, but I'll try. Maybe this gray. That helps a little. Yeah, this helps a little. Let me pick a gray somewhere around here. Okay, yeah, that pushed the white balance. Took a lot of the green out right there, which is good. Okay, and then I don't know if going a little cooler or a little warmer. Maybe just a tad warmer. Okay, let's see where we're at. Yeah, so that's with that sort of green cast, which might be fluorescent lighting, and that takes it out. All right, I'm gonna work on the speculars a bit more. So I'm gonna do the auto masking brush. I kind of like this area up here. See if I can just make this a little bit more specular. Okay. And then let's do another mask. Let me try the AI tool. Just kind of want to select in here. Let me try this way. I'm going to hit the Shift key and just continue selecting the top of these generators. And just try to make these even more specular looking. Okay, and then let's try the same thing with these. Looks like these are control panels. Okay, just some micro contrast in there. And all right, let's go back to the global side and push some of the yellows and oranges. So I'm just going to stretch this out a bit. Ooh, that's doing the walls too. I don't want that. So I'll just use the brush. I'll just select a couple of the yellow points here. Maybe shift them a tiny bit. Okay. Let me see if I can separate the lighting a little bit more. Just going to add a little bit inside here. And let's take a little bit out. Okay. Maybe not that side. I think that's about it. Okay, we'll call it there. So I think, the crop and the white balance adjustment, and then adding contrast and some saturation to bring out some of the yellows. That's basically all I needed to do here. And then, bring out some of the texture of the cement, in the columns and this wall using micro contrast. As far as the overall crop and composition, again, this is just a personal preference. I think if this were actually if this were a commercial job that I was doing, I would probably take this whole image as is, right? Because it does give a good perspective of the generators there and the space that they're in. But from a more subjective kind of creative choice, I just didn't see anything on these columns here that added to the image, right? In a creative way. So I just kind of took everything that's over here on the left side and focused on the lighting and the speculars and the colors on that side. And I didn't see any need to keep this over here. And if we, we can just look at the details and the noise. But I think, as always, DxO does a good job cleaning everything up, right? Okay. Neat image. All right. Let's do the next one here. So this is from Surge. I need to download the optics module for this. So I'm going to click on that green arrow. So this is the 100 to 400 with the OM1 Mark II. So this is a lens camera combination that I have not edited before. We'll wait for that to finish and then we'll go ahead and edit it. All right, very good. So I'm hitting the F9 key to kind of push the columns on the left and right, the control panels, in and out. All right, so we have this bird here with a nice reflection and a fish, really good red eyes. So I think we need to straighten this though. So let's apply this basic preset first. And I'm going to straighten the horizon a bit. Whoops, too much. About like that. And then let's just crop in. We'll have the bird kind of swimming out of the frame. And I'm just using rule of thirds in this case. Maybe just give a little bit more tilt. I'll bring this down. Okay. That looks good. So let's see if we can temper these highlights here and bring out a little bit more of the color. Let me try the AI mask. Let's select the water first. I always like the water to be a little darker and a little cooler. So we will add a little bit of clear view and just pull these in a bit. And then let's do maybe just a slight pull on the white balance. Just a little bit. Okay. Let me go over here to the global white balance. Let me try something here. Because this water, yeah, there we go. So I'm just picking the lighter specular here. Because that's reflecting the color of the light coming in. Let me check over here. I think I like that a little bit better. Okay. I'm gonna keep working on the water. But this time I'm just gonna let me grab some of these speculars. Maybe just a auto masking brush might be better. Yeah. That's good. So I just want the speculars to be a little bit stronger. Yeah, micro contrast does it. All right, good. Let me see. Okay. And then let's see if we can temper the highlights. And I'm going to select the highlights just using a control point. And we're going to tighten up the luma mask a bit. And we'll also do it here on the reflection. And then let's try it. Oh yeah, there's some good detail there in the highlights. That's one of the things about the OM1, and actually ever since the EM1 Mark II and 3, the highlight recovery is usually pretty solid on these little micro four thirds sensors. I think we can bring that in, but I need to like just temper this one a bit more. Okay. Bring that in. I don't need it quite as strong elsewhere. All right, good. Now, let's just add a little bit of light to the fish. Oops, I didn't want a brush. I want a control point. Just do the same thing there. And then let's add, let's see if we can add a little color, maybe an AI brush or an AI tool. I'll just select the bird. And let's just try the vibrancy. Okay. It's maybe too much. Yeah, right about there. Okay. Then just a couple of more hits on the, let me see, just on some of the water droplets maybe. Let's try just micro contrast on those. Like that. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of a vignette. So if you don't have Film Pack installed, the easiest way to do a vignette is using a control point, selecting where you want the vignette to be, and then invert this. Set your chroma and luma to 0. And for a more natural vignette, I like to just use the selective tone tool and just bring them in this way. So that way it doesn't look like a hard vignette. You know, it blends in a little bit better. Okay, and I think I still, I hate to do horizon correction, but it just feels a little bit off still. I think I'll leave it. Yeah. Because if I tried to straighten the horizon now, a lot of the control points and other corrections I made are not going to follow me shifting it. And this is something that, you know, if you've used Lightroom in the past, Lightroom makes all those adjustments, but somehow DxO does not correct. Now I'm noticing right in here that the water didn't get selected. So, because it's brighter inside the mouth here than out here. So what I need to do is go back to the mask that had the water. I think that was the first thing I selected. And then we're going to add a submask. And maybe use, let me just try an auto brush. I'll just get in here and do it manually. Yeah. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. Just get in here nice and tight. All right, good. Actually, while I'm in here, I can work on the fine detail a little bit too. So let's go back to the detail panel. Let's actually go back to the local panel. Go back to the mask that I used to select the bird, which was this one. And then we're going to go down to the bottom here. And let's just try a little bit of sharpening. Maybe a little bit intensity on the optimization. And I'm just sliding these back and forth until it looks about right. I can try force details. Maybe back off the noise reduction a bit. Okay, I need to wait for this little thing down here where it says full preview in progress. Let me wait for that. Okay. I think that's good. There's a little bit of haloing here. So let me go to this. Let me show the masks. I need to look. I think the haloing is on the water side. So let's try this new oh, it doesn't have that. It'd be nice if I could feather this auto brush too. Because right now you can feather the AI. Let me try. I guess I have to go back to the bird. Yeah, I didn't use AI for that either. Oh, I did. Okay. And this was an auto brush. So let me try the bird. Let's see if diffusing that minimizes some of the haloing. No, not really. All right. We'll just leave it. I mean, it's not that noticeable, but when you kind of crop in, you can see it. Or zoom in, I should say. Okay. I think that's it. So just a tight crop and horizon correction, and then punching up the colors and bringing in the highlights, right? And we can do kind of a comparison on the details here. But I think, again, DxO did a really good job bringing out the feather details and on the little bait or fish here. Looks like a toadfish, like a baby toadfish, or yeah. But yeah, really nice. This here, this halo though, right here you can see it. I wonder if, let me just try something, this is purely academic at this point, right? Because it doesn't really affect the edit. The edit looks pretty good, I think. But from an academic standpoint, let me go back where I selected the water. Oh, I did use an AI mask, didn't I? So what is this auto brush? Oh, that was for the beak. All right, my bad. I did use... I accidentally turned things on. Let me select the AI mask. Let's try feathering this a bit. So I'm going to do show mask. Oh. Let's try and feather this. Yeah, that just kind of makes it glow. So what I can do is just back off some of this other stuff I did. Yeah, I made the water so dark that when you pixel peep, you can see a little bit of halo along the back of the neck. So if you want to minimize that, you have to brighten the water back up, basically. And now you don't really see the halo. But okay. I think DxO, what they should do is just add, in addition to this diffusion or feathering, if they could, like in Photoshop, you can push in or push out the mask by a pixel number, right? So if I could push the mask in by a few pixels, I think that would have helped. So push it in a few pixels and then feather. I think that would have worked. But okay, let's go to the next one. Ooh, looks like a sunset or sunrise here, and it's already cropped. So we have a JPEG. It's not a lot I can do here. Except maybe try to bring out some of the reds up here. So that even that's going to be tough because it's a JPEG. Let me select from here. See if I can drop this pointer. Maybe right in here. And let's just saturate that. And brighten it. About like that. And I think that's it. Maybe push it a little bit more. See if I can expand the glow a little bit. If I pull the chroma back and the luma back a little bit, maybe add a control point in here also. Clearview is not doing a lot, but a little bit. Okay, now there's some green in these evergreens a little bit, and there's a line here. I need to just do a little bit of straightening maybe. Should have done that first. I didn't notice it though. But we'll just straighten that and crop a little bit. And then I'm going to center the sunset just using this little box here in the crop tool. And we can come in like that. I don't know what that was, a 16 by 7 roughly. Okay, and then there's a little bit of noise in here because I did a lot. Let me go back to the local tool. Let's see which one's causing that. It's not that one. Okay. Let's just use, we're only going to be able to use sort of a standard noise reduction. I don't think we need any chroma. Yeah, that's not doing a whole lot. But okay. Let's pull back on this control point a bit. And then I'm going to pull the micro contrast back. Yeah, okay. Now let me see if I can bring the greens out. I doubt it though. Let me just try with the control point again. Maybe a tiny bit. Okay. I'm going to tighten up the luma mask a bit. All right. I think that's it. Being a JPEG, I can't really recover and push and pull things too far. Oops, oops, oops. Okay. So there's the before and after. So I just tried to bring out the sun a little bit, right? And the clouds in the background and just a touch of the greens, not too much. We can also look at these top and bottom. And then just a slight crop for the, I guess that's a fence line with a little bit of straightening, right? Okay, very good. Let's try. The next one here. So this one's from Michael. good looking cat. Let's do a preset. And I'm just going to work on the eyes. I think the composition is good though. Maybe just a slight crop this way. Just to get the nose, I don't know, maybe the center of the head. I just want the eyes to be kind of in the center. Whoops. Yeah, right there. So right about there. It's debatable. It's a really tight crop as it is, so I'm debating. No, that's too much. I think this will work. Okay. So let's go ahead and let me just start with the eyes. Now, whenever I do animals, it's always eyes, nose, ears, you know, talons, claws, whatever. But so we just have eyes, nose, ears here. I'm just going to go in here and a little bit of clear view, micro contrast. And we'll just brighten them just a tad. Okay. Ooh, those are really piercing now, right? Maybe not so much in the highlights. Okay, perfect. And then we'll just add a dab of light to the ears. Maybe a tiny bit of micro contrast. And I think the nose is good. Maybe just a little more color. So we'll just push a little vibrancy there. Okay. And then I'm going to select the cat in total. And I want to maybe just push the vibrancy overall. Just a tad more. And let's add a little bit of highlights over here. Let me tighten up the chroma a bit. And a little bit of warmth. A little bit here. A little bit there. This flower really needs its own. It's not showing quite as much. Okay. And let's try a control line. A new mask. Just pull this side in a bit. Maybe a little less here and here. Definitely more on the chroma side. Okay. See what the mask is doing. Okay. Back here. Let's just pull that back a tiny bit. Okay. Maybe just a tiny vignette. Just a tiny, nah, I think it needs it. I think we're good. So let me just check the fine details. I think we got enough. All right. There we go. So yeah, just the image on the left is it's just a little bit flat, right? Because it's a raw image. So we're just kind of saturating the colors on the cat only and not so much in the background. And then just adding a little bit more light onto the right side because it feels like the light is kind of coming in from behind a little bit, but it is a little bit coming in from the right. So I just added a little bit more light to the right side of the cat. So this ear and this side is a little bit brighter than the left side. It's very subtle, but there's a little bit of a difference. And there's virtually no noise in the image as it is, but we can go ahead and pixel peep. And I made the eyes a little bit glossier. It's kind of my go-to move whenever it comes to eyes. But I think the details came out really nice. A little bit crispier, particularly here in the whiskers. That looks really good. Okay, nice shot. So, and a very, very slight crop. What was bothering me was this little bit of a blue up here on the top left. And that's it. Okay, so let me go to the chat section real quick and see. Oops, where's my chat window? I don't know why the chat window's not showing. Oh, I didn't update it. Hold on. Let me fix that real quick. There we go. Let's see. So, I have to leave soon. Oh, it's Hoover Dam. Okay, yeah, it looked like a hydroelectric thing. And Mark Leonard was suggesting, my time is limited today, but if DxO is watching, how about a control point that is user adjustable? Yeah, that's been suggested many times, actually, directly to DxO, including from myself. So they took it in note, but they didn't say, yeah, that's easy to do or it's not, unfortunately. I forget what I recommended. I recommended something like 2 years ago, and they said, "Oh yeah, that'd be easy to do," and then they added it. Uh, I can't remember what it was because it was a very minor thing, and I was like, "Why can't you do this and adjust this?" And they said, "Oh well, that'd be easy to do. We can add that." And then, like in the next version, it showed up. And good evening, Bamsem. Good to see you. Sound and video is good. Good morning, Roger. Henning, thank you. Shakab is here. Good to see you. Let's see. Oh, William. Oh, so that's your user ID. So William is your name. Okay, William. I'll try to remember that. My focus was on her shadow instead of her. Yes, I remember seeing this when we were doing the person walking, stepping onto the sidewalk, right? Hoover Dam, and oh, that's actually the 40 to 150 f4 Pro. Mine was the 40 to 150 2.8 Pro. Okay, not sure what that's in reference to. I was thinking it looked like Hoover Dam. Pretty cool tour. Yeah, I'll have to do that one day. No need for that flag now. Okay, I thought it was nice. Gives context to where this dam is, right? I mean, whenever I look at an image, I always try to include as much information as possible without cluttering. And I thought the flag provided some context of where the dam was. Maybe use the orange line on the machines as a frame edge. Maybe. I really wanted to see the full, you know, as much of the generators as possible. I like being able to look into that window. And Cynthia had the sunset. Okay. And yeah, you cropped it for the fence. Missed a little bit on the bottom though. And those are Ponderosa pine trees. Oh, okay. I'll try to remember that because I go out sometimes. I'm not a botanist at all, but you know, plants are really interesting, right? There's so much variety there, as there are probably more so than birds, right? Because I'm always seeing the birds in the tree, and sometimes I'll see a beautiful tree, and I'm like, what kind of tree is that? I wonder. And then you start thinking about why are there so many different kinds of trees and stuff, but. And cute cat, yes, it is cute cat. It says, and I like the flower on the side. I wouldn't crop that much. Yep, I agree. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Another critter. And we'll apply basic preset. Let me just, oh, I'm sorry. Let me just make sure I got the optics module. Yep, we just got to get one for this one. So we'll do a basic preset. Wow, this is pretty high ISO. It's pretty low light. Looks like you probably could have gone down 2 stops though, like the ISO 2000 with this particular shot, because that's a bit overexposed. So I think we need to do a little bit of straightening and just a little bit of crop, right? So let's just straighten this up a bit. I'm just eyeballing it right there. And we can keep this aspect ratio, just crop in a bit tighter. I think that's a good balance. So we have the tree stem here in the top right corner, and a little bit of that tree, or this branch, right, kind of goes through this box. So from one corner to the next, nicely framing the squirrel. So I suggested that this might be 2 stops overexposed. So I think right about there. That looks good. And we'll just see if we can temper the highlights here and here. I mean, at ISO 8000, a lot of the highlights just get clipped. So it may not be possible, but I can try. Let's see. Oh, nice. Yeah, good old Olympus and OM Systems, man, the highlights come back nicely, like surprisingly well. Let me just pull this in a bit. Okay. All right, good. Maybe add a little bit of micro contrast in there. All right, let's work on the eyes, ears, nose. Oh, the nose could use a little bit of declipping as well. We'll just push that out. I don't want to push it that much. Maybe give the nose its own. I think the nose is clipped. Oh, no, there's a little bit there. Okay, so did I apply my corrections? I did. All right, so let's work on the eye. Oh, I need to make a new mask. There we go. And we'll give it just some clear view and micro contrast. Maybe a little bit of push in the shadows. We'll do another one for the ears. Add a little bit of color or vibrance. There we go. And then let's select the squirrel itself. I'm going to hit the shift key and add the tail to that. And let's push the vibrancy here maybe. And let's work on the oranges. Ooh, too much, too much. Just a bit too much. Okay, good. Let me see if I can select the background. And I'm not going to push it too much, but I'm just going to pull the blacks in a bit. Give it maybe a little warmth this time because it feels a little bit too cool for the scene. Okay. And then let's add a vignette and we'll call it there. So we'll invert that. Actually, I may not need this background mask. Yeah, I don't need that. We'll get rid of that. Maybe a little bit more warmth. Okay. That looks good. Let's work on the fine detail a bit. If I turn that off. What did I do here? Turn that off. Go back here. I don't want to overdo it. If I back it off and go this way. Okay, I think that's good. Let me just back off a little bit of this color. I think it's a reddish orange. Maybe shift it more yellow. Yeah, just there. All right, let's call it there. So slight crop and bring the exposure down, and then a little bit of extra work on the highlights. But other than that, I think that came out pretty good. We did recover a lot of the highlights, particularly here on the front. I'm really glad that came back. And just little accents on the ears, just to give them a little more. And just a giant vignette. And I think, you know, as always, we'll pixel peep this for fine details. But I think we got a pretty decent job done here. There's a little bit of motion blur right here. Just a tiny bit. Our shutter speed is at what? 1/640th. So yeah, if this squirrel's kind of going at it, you know, there could be a slight motion blur, which I think I'm seeing here. So I would have, you know, maybe a little faster shutter speed would have fixed that. Maybe. But there's definitely a little bit of motion blur in there, as you can see. Right? Okay. That's partially why it's probably not quite tack sharp. And this is just a little bit out of focus here, because the depth of field is pretty shallow on this lens. This is a 300 f4. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next one. This one's from Jeff. All right. We need to I'm debating let's apply basic preset first. So we're just a little bit off center, but there, where the stream ends or goes down here, this pond, it goes way back here. So that seems to be pretty centered, but then because of the geometry of the bank here, it feels off center or out of balance for me. Not that landscapes need to be symmetrical, but it's just, that's how my eye looks at it. And we have some colors here, greens and yellows that can be separated a little bit, and some reds. And we don't need much here from the sky. Got some good branches. So, yeah, almost centered there. Maybe we just need about this much. I hate to lose, I like this tree though here. But there's not enough of it there for me to play with. Okay, I think I'll go with this. So let's separate the water a little bit more. So I'm just going to use the AI tool and just bring that in a bit with some clear view. Like that. And let's add and subtract some light in here. So right in here, let's just push that a little bit. I'm just trying to give the scene a little bit of dynamic range here. So I'm just dropping light in places that should be natural for the light to be. A little bit there. Might have overdone it with the saturation, but maybe a tad a bit of warmth. All right, let me go over to the global side. I don't know if I can just push the reds. Yeah, that's not enough. So we'll spread it out just a little bit into the orange and feather it. Okay. I need to go back to the water. Maybe cool it off a bit. About right there. And then let's do one more. Let's subtract some light in a few places. If I just do just a linear pull. Get in here. Just pull the blacks in a bit. Okay, we're almost there. There's kind of this bluish green tint overall. I might be able to fix that just with this white balance. let's try vibrant. Actually, the portrait setting might, nah, that's a little bit too desaturated. Let's just stay with vibrant. But I need to get rid of, I'm just feeling a little bit of a green in here. So let me go down here. It's this color, I think. It needs to be just shifted a little bit. A little bit off. Let me see. Okay. It's about right. And then, okay, so I'm going to call it there. So 16:9 crop, and then just a little bit of light painting with control points, right, to kind of give the forest a little bit of more depth by pulling out brighter areas here and there, and then darkening some areas like down in here, under here, you know, around in here. Just kind of give a little bit more depth to the forest or the trees. And then separating the water, because that's a pretty big part of the frame, by, you know, with basically clear view and pulling the blacks in. And I think that came out pretty good. So if we you know, we can look at fine details, but that's not really a thing in this image, right? The only other thing I could do is potentially, because sometimes, like, what I like to do with very busy scenes like this is to, let's see, I think it's in here. Just go in here and just pull the micro contrast in and just soften it a bit. There's a fine contrast slider here that, you know, you may have noticed I ignore that because it's part of the DxO film pack, which you would buy separately. But it does a little bit, right? It does help soften images or make them crispier in a little bit different way, but you can kind of get away with just using micro contrast and your contrast slider. But this might be the only other thing I would do, is pull the micro contrast back just to soften it a little bit, because it's a little bit too crispy with all the branches and everything. But I think that came out pretty nice. So that's the before and that's the after. Okay, let's see, we have a mushroom here. So Jeff got 2 in this week. So let's do a basic preset. And, what? This is a tree that's been carved out to look like a mushroom, I think. Or is that just a giant-ass mushroom? Yeah, that's gotta be a carving. Because that mushroom is ginormous. All right. I'm guessing. I don't know, Jeff. You tell me what the heck this is. I don't know. Let me just select this. Okay. I think that's good. What we need to do is try and temper all of this out and around the mushroom. So let me select the background. So I'm going to use this rectangle tool and select the mushroom and then invert it. The challenge is going to be doing it without getting halos. Maybe like that. A little bit of extra pull on the highlights. And then let's warm it up. Okay, so Jeff says it's a sculpture of a mushroom about 2 meters high. Yeah, that kind of lines up with my perception here of what I'm looking at. What I need to do is just make sure I don't make it look too unnatural with my separation here. Okay, that feels a little better. And let's see if we can just emphasize some of the lighting and texture in here. Okay. And I'm just going to just minimize some of the lighting over here too. I wonder, black and white's going to be a mess. Yeah, that's got some potential though. Let me do this. This might be it. Maybe one more in here. All right, we'll call it there. So it's already filled the frame, so there's not much to crop. And yeah, I just had to kind of darken the background a bit and then add contrast to the mushroom or this sculpture. And that's it. I think that's the best I can do there. Okay, interesting. You guys always send interesting subjects. Hoover Dam, sculptured mushrooms. I've never seen these things before. All right, we have another squirrel. This looks almost like it could be in my backyard, but we don't. The squirrels where I live mostly are gray. They don't have a lot of brown in them. But this is a really good composition. It's already pretty well balanced. Maybe just take a little bit off the left side and that's it. So I'm going to apply a basic preset first. And let me see if I can center the squirrel. That's right about there is good. And then we'll come back up. Right there. Okay. And let's just go ahead and select the background. I'll add this area here. And just pull that in a bit. Bring some color back in. Okay. And then this tree, do kind of the same thing, just bring it in a bit. Ooh, too much. Add a little bit of warmth. Okay. And let me pull out some of the greens. I'm just going to push this a little bit that way. A little bit of extra warmth. See if I can do something with the eye. A little bit of push. Do the same thing with the ear. I can probably use the same control point. Nose. Feet look pretty good. Just add a little bit there. That might be it. Okay, the nose is too much. Get rid of that. Okay, let's check the fine detail real quick. I think we're good, but I'm gonna just, yeah, it's a little bit too crispy. I'm gonna turn off this unsharp mask that I normally do. Let me back this off. Let's go to the micro contrast. I'm gonna back this off. It just feels a little bit too crispy for some reason. I think maybe because of the tree bark and the squirrel, they're both just a bit too crispy. Let's add a vignette. Okay. All right, we'll call it there. So yeah, just basically tempering the light, adding a little warmth, and that's it. But yeah, cool picture and some saturation. And I think in terms of fine detail, there wasn't much to do. I turned it down a bit. It's like I said, it felt a little bit too crispy as it was. I have to see what lens this is. This lens is really sharp. What is this? Oh, 300 f4. Okay. But you can see the difference with this squirrel picture and the previous one, because this one is at 1/1600th shutter speed, much faster, right? So you don't have any motion blur, which I think was kind of affecting the sharpness in the other image. So yeah, whenever you're shooting animals, I usually start at 1/1000th of a second as a minimum, and then you know, the faster the better. So just let me just set this as a reference. But you can see, just coming back to this one, we're basically at about the same distance, roughly the same lighting even. No, I think the one on the left was in a little bit darker, but it's more or less the same lighting. And you can see kind of the difference of having a faster shutter speed and getting a sharp image, right? That's part of it. I don't know what other settings were going on here, but that does normally plays a big part of it, is, you know, the shutter speed. Okay, but this is not about camera settings, right? But I wanted to illustrate that. All right, last one here, and this one I do need an optics module. So let me download that. Okay. Cool. EM1 Mark III with the 100 to 400. Oh, but this is the Panasonic Leica one. That's a great lens. Let's see. Wow, this is a pretty steep hill behind this church, or this building. I just assume it's a church because you got these huge windows here in the front. And the clouds, it's probably a cloudy day because we're getting pretty good sunlight here, which should be on all of the buildings. But must be kind of a patchy, cloudy day. Man, and I assume these are wine vineyards back here. But we got some really nice like spring colors coming in, I think, or fall colors. Based on this shot date is November, so this must be fall. Interesting. There's some blues here. All right. And the image is balanced pretty well. Let me just hit it with a perspective button. Oh, let me apply basic preset first. And then try the perspective. Okay, didn't do much there. It looks better without it, so I'll leave it. What to do here? Because the lighting is really, it's like a giant dappled lighting scene. These are always a little bit tough. I'm just gonna mess around with these sliders here in kind of in a gross way, just to kind of help me see where the light is. It's really only here and just a touch here. A little bit here. So how do I incorporate. If I do this, can almost make it look like a moonlit scene if I do this. That would almost feel more true to the light, but all right. What time was this taken? 6. So this is evening. No, morning. I'm sorry. 6:47 in the morning. So we could probably go a little bit warmer and a little bit cooler in the shadows. So let's try that. Let's grab the light. And just a little tighter on the luma. No, I think we're good there. Let me see if I warm that up a bit. Like that. Yeah, that looks good. And then just add a tiny bit of magenta. And push it a little bit extra. Okay. Let's make a new mask, but this time kind of more in the shadow mid-tone area. Well, if we do shadows, let's work on the shadows. So I'm just dropping the pointer on the darker, one of the darker areas like this roof. Let's tighten the luma a bit. And maybe what happens if I cool that off? No, I think a little bit cooler. About 500 Kelvin there. Now let's select the midtones. So I'm going to select this. A little tighter on the luma. And let's add some warmth back in. And then I'm going to, let's just do a, just a linear, what do they call it? They call it a graduated filter. So we'll use a graduated filter. I'm just going to see, let me try some clear view in here. A micro contrast. And just overall a tiny bit, bring a little warmth back in. Okay. All right. And then let's use a control point here and here. Just add some light back in there. A tiny bit more warmth. All right. Whoops. All right. I should have thought about this up front, but I'm wondering if just a vertical might do. No, you know, for me, there's some nice context around here. I love this little open area, this field. Maybe maybe a little tighter like this. Yeah, now the perspective is helping. Okay. Now let's hit some of the colors. I like this color here. This color in here. There's some good reds in here too, but let me start with these two. What if I hit this one now? Yeah, that one kind of needs its own. Just the red. There we go. Because there's some reds in this tree. Like that. Yeah, there's no reds there. How about in here? No, not so much. Okay, I think I still want more contrast though. We can do that with some clear view. All right, almost there. Go back to, wasn't that one, it wasn't that one. It's probably the first one I did. Yeah, this mask. Just pull this in again. All right, just adding a little bit more warmth in this. Okay. Go back to this. If I go backwards on the contrast. No, I like it. I liked it up here. All right. I think that's it. So just a slight crop, and I mean, I almost didn't need a crop, but I wanted a little bit of a crop. I think one more thing I can do. Let me do one more thing. You know, the front windows here, it'd be nice if we could see a little bit of glow inside the windows. So maybe try the AI tool, see what happens. Yeah, this one and this one. Mm. Okay, I'm just exaggerating my adjustments here because I want to see. Let me do it this way. Instead of a AI brush, maybe see if I can grab it this way. Take a little bit off the edge. A little bit in here. Okay. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. Because there's one, you can see through the glass a little bit. So I wanted to just, it's a very subtle change, but I think it makes a difference. All right, so there's the before and after. So just a slight crop. I was debating to go with that vertical crop earlier, but I really didn't want to lose all of this in here. And a vertical crop would look weird if I cropped it here, so, because it would be like a 1x1. But I think that works pretty well. And then just to kind of like, if you were looking at it very closely, you know, pixel peeping, again, you can see what a nice job DxO can do with the fine details. You know, like in this window here, the shingles over here and here, even up in here, right? It looks really good. Okay. Awesome. I think that looks pretty good. A little bit crispy over here, but other than that, not bad. All right, and that was it. So, man, those are some great shots this week. I really appreciate you guys sending those in. Hopefully you got a few ideas and some of the tools. Let me just double check the chat section. Olympus' first camera came out in June of 1936. This June will be the 90th anniversary. That's interesting. I wonder if they're celebrating the 90th anniversary of the camera. Because I know they did like a 100th anniversary for the Olympus company itself. But I don't know if they're doing the actual, like when they released their first camera and celebrating that as a separate anniversary. That's interesting. And it says, looks like street and travel and lifestyle photography dream is coming true this year. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yeah, well, you know, I don't think it ever went away. They've always been thinking about it, but definitely the outcry for it certainly reinforced their position to continue doing street travel lifestyle. I agree with that. Nice edit. Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And then Jeff says, would you remind me where to find your DxO presets and how to incorporate them in Photolab 9.6? The only preset I've really released was, I guess I have more. I have to put them, right now I've just been posting to the community tab, and it might be hard to find because you'll have to scroll through the community tab to find the Photolab preset. I mean, I only make a community post like once a week, maybe twice a week at most. So you may not have to go too far back, but I'll try and consolidate and create a place where you can go, like maybe on my website or Yeah, I'll probably put it on my website. Like I have OM workspace presets on my website. I could start adding Photolab presets there. So I'll try and put that together. And then nice job on the lake. Oh, thank you. And there's yeah, the sculptured mushroom, Texas-sized mushroom. Yeah, that's a heck of a sculpture. And 300 millimeters, super sharp, doesn't need much sharpening. Yes, that is absolutely true. When you can fill the frame pretty much with the subject, and the only time you really have to sharpen is when you're taking a picture of things at distance. Even if you fill the frame, you start to get some atmospheric distortions, so you kind of sharpen to minimize that. And that's about it, but that lens is really amazing. I rarely shoot without the teleconverter, so I always end up doing a little bit of sharpening. But that is probably the very best purchase I've made, aside from the OM3. Those are my two favorite purchases from OM Systems. And I would say the 12 to 45 after that is one of my favorites. And then the 8mm fisheye. I really like those lenses. And the 60 macro. I mean, everything they make is really good, isn't it? But yeah, I'd say the 8, the 60, the 12 to 45, and the 300 are kind of my go-to lenses right now. I rarely, as good as it is, I rarely take out the 40 to 150 kit lens. I used that a lot when I was shooting with the EM10, but after upgrading to, the OM1 and getting the 300, I feel like the 300, the 60, the 12 to 45, and the 8, these are kind of my go-tos now. And I don't have much, and this is probably why I didn't buy the 50 to 200 f2.8 or had any interest in it at all, was between 50 and 200, I don't do a lot. I don't do a lot there in that range. I'm either super wide or super tele, right? Or super macro with the 60. The 90 macro might be my next purchase. And hopefully June we'll get an official announcement that they're bringing out a Pen F style camera, even if it's a cross between AP7 and Pen F. Let's keep it. Yes, any new camera released, I'm happy to entertain, right? And I've uploaded my pick. You can do next week. Yep. Okay, I'll hit it next week because I've been at this a couple hours. But I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all your support, sending your images in. Check out the DxO with my affiliate links. Buy it there with the discount code. Helps me out a lot. You guys have a great weekend. I should be back Sunday for normal photo chat. I know I took a couple of days off. It was Easter and tax season, so I've been working on taxes and taking time off with family and friends. But we should be back to normal here soon. So you guys